Okay, so let's get started. You can see that I am up unboxing the photo slate. So this comes from Amazon. I think they cost about $5 a piece. I get them typically in sets of 5, sometimes even more. Sometimes I think maybe the largest box I've gotten at a time was 10 in a box. And those may have been a little less than $5, but I haven't seen that size box available recently. So next you can see I am getting ready to wipe it off with an alcohol pad. So if you've done sublimation before, you know that you need to clean your surface with alcohol before moving forward. And then I'm just drying it off with a paper towel. And then I usually look, so you can see it's imperfect, right? So I usually look at it and see which direction I want it to face. And sometimes it depends on my design and which edges or corners my design is going to be closest to. And then I decide which way the slate should face accordingly. And then I'll trim my image. So this is my image printed with sublimation ink on sublimation transfer paper. You can see that I leave edges all the way around. You want to make sure that you have plenty of room to tape it down. So I tape the image to the slate so that everything stays in place when you put it in the heat press. So you don't want it to, get cockeyed. It's, with something like this that's square, it's really important that we have all of our edges straight. And you can see that the design is a little bit bigger than the slate. That's intentional so that we don't end up with any white edges. And it also helps you to be able to see that you've got everything straight. You can see that your edges all the way around are straight with the edges of your slate. And so then I tape it down on all 4 sides to try to really keep it in place well. You can see that I will push it down kind of a little bit against the sides of the slate because it does tend to want to shift because of the weight of the slate. So um, just really pushing down on that tape. I don't know if I mentioned it's heat resistant tape. So you want to make sure that you're using heat resistant tape for this. Again, available at Amazon. So there will be attached a list of all of the supplies that I'm using today. So you'll be able to get links to those on Amazon if you haven't used any of these items before. And then once it's taped, you're ready to head to the heat press. So here it is on the heat press, um, 360 degrees, 450 seconds, and 50-pound pressure. And you can see I've got my butcher paper, one underneath and one above. You want to do that so that any ink that escapes while during this process doesn't ruin your heat press. So that butcher paper really keeps it nice. And then here we are at the end after it has gone through the process. And I am trying to get it all off with one hand while I hold my camera, but that doesn't work very well. So I'm going to have to set the camera down for a second. And then here we are. So you just peel it all off. Make sure you've got your gloves on because it's very, very hot. And then look how nice and shiny and bright that is. And here's a couple others that I did today as well. So the colors come out so vibrant on these. So now here you can see the 7 that I printed today. So it took me about an hour to print these. So it's really, or to press them. So it's a really fast process. Once your artwork is done, the rest is really easy. So, and you can see the colors just come out amazing on these slate pieces. And then I just wanted to show you. So here's a couple of them that are up on my mantle in my art studio so that you can kind of get a sense of their size. That's a print of a painting that I did. I actually, if you've read my books, you've seen that artwork on the cover of my Canvas of Healing book and Tides of Change. And then book 3 is coming out this year. So It's a three-part series. And so there you go. I hope you found that helpful.